The world whispers of a hidden dimension, a realm that exists just beyond the veil of our everyday perception. This is a place where the physical and the spiritual intertwine, creating a tapestry of existence that is both mysterious and profound. A realm beyond our senses where the unseen forces of the universe are at play. Here the air is thick with the presence of the divine, and every moment is charged with spiritual significance. A place where battles rage and victories are won, not with swords and shields, but with faith and perseverance. These are the battles of the soul, fought in the quiet corners of our hearts and minds. This is the spiritual realm, a dimension that is as real as the ground beneath our feet, yet invisible to the human eye. It is here that our true selves are revealed, and our deepest struggles are faced. Invisible to the human eye, yet more real than the ground beneath our feet. In this realm, the lines between light and shadow blur, and the true nature of our existence is laid bare. It is here that the practice of fasting and prayer becomes a powerful force, shaping our lives in profound ways. Through these disciplines, we connect with the divine, drawing strength and guidance from a source beyond ourselves. We may not see the immediate effects of our spiritual practices. Like a seed planted in the ground, the impact of our efforts is often hidden from view, slowly taking root and growing beneath the surface. But like a seed planted in the ground, the impact of our spiritual disciplines will eventually break through the surface. With time and patience, the fruits of our labor will become evident, blossoming into a beautiful testament to our faith. We must trust that God is at work, even in the unseen. Though we may not always understand his ways, we can have faith that he is guiding us, moving mountains on our behalf and answering our prayers in ways we cannot yet comprehend. He is moving mountains on our behalf, answering our prayers and strengthening our spirits. In the unseen world, the divine is at work, weaving a tapestry of grace and love that touches every aspect of our lives. Fasting is often associated with deprivation. We think of it as giving up food, enduring hunger, and sacrificing our comfort. But what if we could see it differently? What if fasting is not just about what we lose, but about what we gain? Giving up something we enjoy, like a favorite meal or a sweet treat, can be challenging. Yet this act of self-denial can open up a deeper spiritual experience. It's not just about the physical act of abstaining from food, it's about creating space for something greater. But what if we viewed it as a spiritual feast? Imagine fasting as a banquet for the soul, where we feast on the presence of God, his word, and his promises. It's a time to draw closer to him, to seek his face, and to listen to his voice. A time to deny our flesh and feed our souls. When we fast, we're not just giving up food, we are making room for God to fill us with his spirit, his wisdom, and his love. It's a sacred time of renewal and transformation. When we fast, we create space for God to speak. In the quietness of our hunger, we can hear his voice more clearly. In the stillness of our sacrifice, we can feel his presence more deeply. It's a time to tune out the noise of the world and tune into the whispers of the divine. Consider the story of Esther. In a moment of crisis, she called upon her people to fast and pray. They abstained from food and drink for 3 days, seeking God's intervention in their dire situation. Facing a dire situation, she called upon her people to fast and pray for 3 days. They humbled themselves before God, seeking his guidance and deliverance. This collective act of faith and humility moved the heart of God. They humbled themselves before God, seeking his guidance and deliverance. Their fasting was not just an act of desperation, but an act of devotion. It was a way to show their dependence on God and their trust in his power to save, and he answered their prayers in a mighty way, saving them from imminent danger. God's response to their fasting and prayer was a testament to his faithfulness and his power to deliver his people. This is the power of fasting and prayer. It's not just about abstaining from food, it's about feasting on the presence of God. It's about aligning our hearts with his will and unlocking his supernatural intervention in our lives. It aligns our hearts with God's will and unlocks his supernatural intervention in our lives. Through fasting and prayer, we can experience a deeper connection with God, a greater sense of his presence, and a more profound understanding of his purpose for our lives. The Bible is replete with examples of fasting and prayer. From the Old Testament to the New Testament, fasting is portrayed as a powerful spiritual discipline that brings believers closer to God. It is a practice that has been embraced by prophets, kings, and ordinary people alike, demonstrating its universal importance and relevance. Jesus himself fasted for 40 days and nights in the wilderness. This period of fasting was a time of preparation and spiritual fortification before he began his public ministry. It was during this time that he faced and overcame the temptations of Satan, setting an example for all believers. He emerged victorious over temptation, empowered by the Holy Spirit. This victory was not just a personal triumph, but a demonstration of the power of fasting and prayer in overcoming spiritual challenges. It shows us that through fasting, we can gain strength and clarity to face our own trials. In Matthew 6, verses 16 to 18, Jesus instructs his disciples on how to fast, emphasizing the importance of humility and sincerity. He warns against fasting for show and encourages a private, heartfelt approach. This teaching underscores that the true value of fasting lies in its ability to foster a deeper, more genuine connection with God. Fasting, when done with the right heart, draws us closer to God. It is an act of worship and devotion that helps us to focus on our spiritual needs rather than our physical desires. By setting aside time to fast and pray, we open ourselves up to receive God's guidance and wisdom. It allows us to hear his voice more clearly. In the stillness and simplicity of fasting, we can tune out the noise of the world and attune our hearts to the whispers of the Holy Spirit. This heightened spiritual sensitivity can lead to profound insights and revelations. It strengthens our resolve and empowers us to live a life pleasing to him. Fasting builds spiritual discipline and resilience, helping us to resist temptation and stay committed to our faith. It is a practice that not only benefits us individually, but also strengthens the collective faith of the community. The Bible tells us that the prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. James 5:16. This verse highlights the transformative power of prayer, especially when it is combined with the righteousness that comes from a sincere and humble heart. When we combine our prayers with fasting, we create a powerful synergy that moves the hand of God. This combination amplifies our spiritual efforts, making our prayers more fervent and our faith more robust. It is a practice that has the potential to bring about significant spiritual breakthroughs and divine interventions. Fasting and prayer are not merely religious rituals. They are weapons of spiritual warfare. Ephesians 6:12 tells us, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." When we fast and pray, we are engaging in this spiritual battle. We are taking a stand against the enemy's schemes. We are breaking free from the chains that bind us. And as we do, we experience a new level of freedom and victory in our lives. In the busyness of life, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Our minds become cluttered with distractions, and our priorities become skewed. But when we fast and pray, we create space for clarity and focus. Fasting helps to silence the noise of the world. It allows us to hear God's voice more clearly. And as we seek him in prayer, he reveals his will for our lives. He gives us wisdom and direction. He helps us to prioritize what truly matters. Section 6, deeper intimacy. At its core, fasting and prayer is about intimacy with God. It's about drawing closer to the one who loves us most. When we deny ourselves and seek him wholeheartedly, we experience his presence in a tangible way. We begin to see him move in our lives. We feel his love surround us. Our relationship with him deepens, and we discover the joy of walking in his will. The more we fast and pray, the more we realize that true satisfaction is not found in earthly things, but in the loving embrace of our Creator. Section 7, Overflowing Blessings. When we prioritize our relationship with God through fasting and prayer, we open ourselves up to his overflowing blessings. These blessings may not always come in the form we expect, but we can trust that God knows what is best for us. He will provide for our needs. He will guide our steps. He will give us strength for the journey. The Bible tells us that the Lord is near to all who call on him in truth. Psalm 145:18. When we draw near to God, he promises to draw near to us. Section 8. Stepping into the light. The spiritual disciplines of fasting and prayer are not for the faint of heart. They require sacrifice, discipline, a willingness to step out in faith. But the rewards far outweigh the cost. As we embrace these practices, we step into a new realm of spiritual authority. We become more like Christ, more attuned to the voice of the Holy Spirit, more equipped to fulfill the calling God has placed on our lives. Section 9, a call to action. Friend, if you're longing for more of God in your life, I encourage you to embrace the power of fasting and prayer. Start small. Set aside a specific time each day to seek God. Fast one meal a week and spend that time in prayer. As you do, watch as God begins to move in your life in miraculous ways. He is waiting to meet you in the secret place. He is longing to reveal his heart to you. Step into the adventure of a deeper walk with God and discover the transformative power of fasting and prayer.